Okay, we're here with Stu Abramson, trailblazer, legend,
Thank
grip
you.
legend.
Thank you.
Why don't you talk a little bit about your credits, how long you've been doing this?
Well, I've been vested 48 years as a grip, been in over 51 years as a grip. Credits range from everything from videos, commercials, TV, and major motion pictures.
On IMDb, you already have 64 credits, and I know they're missing a lot.
They do because in the early days, in the early 70s, you didn't get credits unless you paid for them.
Oh, really?
Yes, there is no key grips or gaffers or... The only one that got credits in the day was the sound mixer and the cinematographer. And if you wanted them, you had to pay for it because they had to burn it in because it was a negative on film.
Okay.
Well, $200 was a lot of money in the day. So everyone
We'll just pass on that.
passed on it because they worked at the studio. Everyone knew what you did.
Okay.
And you were hired by the studio, so you didn't need to send a resume or a business card because you worked for that studio.
I looked under IMDb and starts off with The Jerk.
Oh yeah, before The Jerk was, so many. Because when you worked at Universal, you did Kojak, Beretta, $6 Million Man, Bionic Woman, oh my God, Rockford Files. At one time in the early 70s, they had 28 TV shows and maybe 24 features on the lot.
Wow.
It was a big studio
Well,
in the day.
let's talk about big studios. So how did big studios run back then?
Well, you worked for the grip department, and the head of the grip department had X amount of hot seat grips for cranes, crane grips, dolly grips. When you were on a show and the key grip said, I need a dolly grip, you didn't move the extra hammer up. You called the grip room and they sent you a dolly grip.
So another guy would be on another hot seat grip would be on another show.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's down, he hops over to another show.
Correct.
Okay.
It was a doghouse of grips.
And how many grips were there on your crew?
Well, we were fortunate to have the key grip, the best boy, the dolly grip, and one extra hammer.
One extra hammer.
For the whole show.
You didn't have any additional guys come on when you had thicker work?
Once in a while.
Once in a while.
When you went out, you got maybe a guy.
Wow.
But the studio grips moved all your equipment. As your rigging key today moves everything for you, the studio did everything for you. I had no rigging crew, but you only used the grip foreman at the studio, and he rigged and did anything any show needed.
Wow.
And you had as many grips as you needed because they were being paid by the studio.
You wake up, go to your call time, green beds are up.
Everything's ready for you.
Wow. Okay.
They worked 3 shifts.
Okay.
Day shift, swing shift, and graveyard shift. 24 hours a day.
24 hours a day. So you knew the job was going to get done?
Always.
Always.
Well, at Universal, they had a truck called 270, and that was run by Rondeau in the day. And they moved what we had, covered wagons full of grip equipment, looked like a covered wagon from the old West, and they would move it stage to stage. You open it up, and there's your grip equipment.
And so what did this grip equipment consist of? Carts?
No carts. Everything was on there. Sandbags, apple boxes, C-stands, high rollers. Everything came on there.
No carts?
No carts. It had no carts.
So everything was just pick and go?
Pick and go.
Okay. And what about trucks? You guys move around in trucks mostly, or was it always just cover wagons?
If we did move around in trucks outside, we shared with electric and camera. 3 of us, sometimes sound, on one vehicle.
Really? Wow. Now I'm hearing things like no tailgates, no C-stand carts, no 4x carts, no taco carts.
Nothing.
Nothing like that.
You carried everything.
Carried everything.
Yes, sir. And Lift gates came a little later. In the 70s, they had them, but they were not something readily available to everyone. So you used a couple 2x12 planks, and that was your
Just,
ramp.
Like a moving truck, just
The dolly goes right off on them.
Really?
Correct.
And so when the first truck came with the tailgate, it must have been...
It was heaven.
It was heaven.
Yes, you got to understand there were no stake beds.
Okay, so you had no transportation support to go from a smaller truck to get it to smaller locations.
It was a pickup truck with a ladder rack on top.
Ah, okay.
And they got beat up really bad.
Yeah, of course.
And then the stake beds came in later. You can see around town some of the old ones still around, but you now have top kicks and the big diesel freight liners.
Right, and aluminum tailgates.
Yeah, you got the state of the art.
Right.
But we didn't spend that kind of money in the old days. And it's beautiful now, but you worked really hard in the old days.
Yeah.
Everything was heavy, and you picked it up, and that's why you're crippled today.
Is that why?
Yeah.
The bad back.
Bad backs, shoulders, knees, everything had to be carried.
Yeah.
Nothing was rolled around unless you were doing green beds and you had the hanger cart and the bed cart.
All right, so let's go back and let's talk about who or what inspired you to go into the grit department.
Well, I was a child actor, and one day my dad was doing the real Poseidon Adventure. My dad was a cinematographer. First, he was a still man for many years, then became a director of photography. But we went to the set, and I met Ernest Borgnine and Shelley Winters.
Wow.
And I looked up high, and I saw these guys working up in the perms. And I asked my dad, what do they do? He says, they're grips. And he explained what a grip does. And a grip not only does everything nobody else will do, but they're the backbone of the industry because they'll do everything for every department, whatever's needed. And I said, that's the job for me.
Wow. Okay.
And at age 18, I went to Universal Studios, went to work there.
As a grip.
As a grip.
So you left the acting, you did a 90-degree turn and decided, I'm going to the grip department. And you knocked on the Universal door. They opened it.
Well, my father was the cameraman there, so it was pretty easy.
So the door was cracked open.
Yeah, it was nepotism. It's all about family and friends.
Okay.
That's this business.
But it's probably the hard work that keeps you there and you have longevity because of it.
I've never had a bad day in 51 years.
Wow.
And I look forward to going to work because, as I explained to my 3 wives, gripping is the movie business is my first wife.
Right, you're married to that.
No matter what happens to the real wives, you still have gripping. So that's your love.
Well, let's kind of ran into the other question I had. What was your first day as a grip on set or a major lot?
It was Universal.
Okay, well, let's think about the movie then, or the TV show.
That would have been the Class of '65. It was a TV series at Universal. My dad was the cinematographer. And I decided to be a key grip. He hired me. I worked a day, and the studio let me go because you're not allowed to have a relative above you be the boss.
But as far as your boss being the DP and you being the key grip,
that was no good.
That was no good.
No.
And so after day one, they told you, we got to pull you guys apart.
Got to pull you apart. And they sent me to Goldwyn Studios, Sam Goldwyn Studios.
So you went to a different lot altogether.
I had to go to a different lot.
Wow.
Myself and the Aldridge brothers, Stevie and Jimmy, because their father was head of the grip department.
Okay. So you're not the only one in there.
No, everybody. And I hear it's tougher today, which I just experienced on the show.
Yeah.
And
having your son.
My son is my best boy.
Wow. All right, well, I was going to give you this next question, which you kind of led into. Who were the key grips that you worked under?
When I first started, I worked under the finest. At Universal, you didn't leave the lot because you were considered a lot employee, a Universal employee. But I worked with guys like Harry Rez III, his son Steve Rez, Harry Rez, great independent key grip. I worked with Tommy Doherty, the animal, at Universal. Les Kahn, they've all, all of them have passed away. And so many. And then some of the greatest was Galen Schultz, Clyde Hart, Kenny Adams, big time key grips that did the biggest pictures in Hollywood in the day. And best car mount riggers, crane grips, hot seat grips. We did not have techno cranes and stuff like you have today.
Yeah.
Everything was lead throwing cranes and a lot of crane track. But they influenced me to be what I became, a grip that does everything.
All right. Let's name maybe your top 5 favorite movie, TV shows that you worked on, something that meant something to you, whether it was big or small.
Sure. Well, The Jerk was a funny comedy. Incredible with Steve Martin. I was very fortunate to be on that as an extra hammer. Then from there, as a key grip, I would go to What About Bob with Dreyfuss, Bill Murray, and then Blown Away with Tommy Lee Jones, Jeff Bridges, Forrest Whitaker. I did another movie called Training Day with Denzel Washington. I did quite a few movies with Bruce Willis, The Whole 10 Yards, Tears of the Sun. I did Moonlighting in the Day with Bruce. That's how I met him. And then I worked on a lot of the diehards as just passing through as a key grip.
Right.
Because other key grips would hire you in between your shows.
Gotcha.
Because they knew you were starting one and they might want to go with you. So they took care of you. And if people that know me know I made a lot of key grips in this business and given a lot of people a break, especially getting into the business. But I'm very fortunate that I don't need taking care of and I'm still working. I just finished a TV series called Ted the Little Bear, season 2. And a lot of projects in between. I just finished the Marlon Brando picture called Waltzing with Brando with Billy Zane and Richard Dreyfuss. I did that during the COVID. We found ways to do things. But feature-wise, I've done a lot. Been all over the world. I did a movie, Beautician and the Beast, in Czechoslovakia with Fran Drescher and Timothy Dalton. I did the movie Cutthroat Island with Gina Davis and Matthew Modine in Thailand and Malta, England.
Well, let's go back on traveling and working in different countries.
I've always taken my 48-foot trailer all over the world, put it on a shipping line, and take the best equipment. So I have gas-powered drills, gas-powered sawzalls. I always carry a chainsaw. And I learned that from one of the greatest grips in the business. His nickname was Chainsaw May, Tommy May. And my chainsaw goes everywhere, and it works all the time.
And you still have the chainsaw.
I always use a chainsaw.
All right, well, let's talk about if you were to have to do it over again, would you still be a grip?
I'd still be a grip.
Yeah.
I've had an opportunity to be a director of photography in 1972.
Because your father's in the camera department, it would have been easy for you to get in the camera department.
Father-son opened up then. If you had a son or a daughter that wanted to get in the movie business, they could get in. And I said, no, I'd rather be a grip.
So you're already gripping, then that opportunity came, and you said,
yeah.
Why?
Because the key grip is the most important person on the set, whether any producer or whoever you speak to says, because everyone relies on a key grip.
Yeah.
Not only for everything but for safety, their knowledge of everything is what's needed. You can't know everything, but you can have a worldly knowledge of almost everything to help. And a good key grip is what you need.
Right.
I retired 6 years ago, and I'm still working. And I've had the shoulder, knees, back.
So what keeps you working? You could have just hung it up, hung the tool belt up.
But you know what? There's such a satisfaction of going to work every day. And if anyone knows me out there, I'm never late. I'm 2 to 3 hours early,
Oh, yeah.
no matter what time I got off the night before. Because my father always said, if you see the sun come up, you're late.
Wow.
Because we start in the dark and we go home in the dark. Sure, unless you have splits in the week.
Yeah. But we knew what he meant by that.
Yeah. You got to have a love for the business. And it's a driving one. Like you know, I work for you. On 9/11 Lone Star, I was your backup key grip for the double ups. I was retired, but I loved it.
Yeah.
I was accomplishing something every day and teaching every day.
Yeah.
To where I even had one of the directors come up and said, I don't know how you do it. I said, do what? Key and teach at the same time. I said, well, they got to learn, and someone's got to teach them.
Right.
They all-
Well, you know, that leads me to the other question. One of my last questions is, what advice would you give to a young individual interested in pursuing the grip position?
You should know all the equipment, and you should really know lighting
Yes.
and camera and lenses. You've got to know everybody's job, from the sound mixer to the boom man. And you're there to facilitate for camera and set lighting, and then every department. And I suggest to everyone, be the best person you can be and make the best of it for all your years. I got 51 years in.
Yes.
48 vested, 51 total. And when I mean that is some of the years we did a lot of commercials and non-union, and that doesn't count for the IA. So you made good money, but you lost out a vested year. So I'm going to stick with it until I put 50 good years in.
So we can count on having Stu on the set for a couple more years.
Oh yes, I'll be around. I got plenty of things to do. And I enjoy it, or I wouldn't have what I have today.
All right.
And as you can see, we're wrapping a show right now.
Yes.
And Mike Reyes has been kind enough to do an interview with me.
Well, you have been kind enough to me, not just with the interview, but mentoring me and just being who you are. And I value that highly.
I thank you. And I hope everyone out there, every department, whether it's set lighting, grip, camera, everybody should reciprocate and take care of each other. And also, I tell everyone, yes, a good grip can key a show. But to be a good key grip, you have to deal with production.
Yeah.
And that's your biggest fight of all. And if you could master that, then I believe you're a good key grip. And you're in the middle of it.
Yeah, in the dog hunt, yeah. Which you and I enjoy doing.
I love it.
I love it too.
Tougher the better.
Come on, bring it. Right
Go
on.
big or go home.
That's right, Stu.
All right, buddy.
Thank you very much for doing
We'll
this,
see you
Stu.
soon.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
All right. Ooh, that done good. As I get up and I can't even walk. All right, where are these kids at? What did they all do? Go home, Mike?
I think they went home.
Oh my God. Holy shit, they did.
I just want to thank you for my new shirt.
Oh, you're quite welcome there.